Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see you back, Monty, Braley. I'm not sure if Rand is going to make it today or Kat, and then we have a couple of other people, but I'm not sure if they'll make it. But we're recording, as you just heard, so that if they can't make it, they will be able to view the recording. So let me do a quick screen share. And actually, let me just make sure. I know, Braley, you're there. Monty, are you there? Can you hear me? Everything's good? I'm going to put something in the chat.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Good. Well, good to hear you too. I just wanted to make sure I didn't start before at least the two of you were able to hear and see everything okay. So that's great. All right. Well, welcome back. All right. I'm going to do a screen share. And basically, this is webinar number 2. We're going to talk about some things to help you implement what you've learned into your workplace, and hopefully it's going to give you some ideas, some great ways to brainstorm a little bit with each other. We'll have another poll, which is coming up very quickly, and we'll have a competition at the end, which is a quiz, and we'll see who wins this week. Braley, last time it was you, and let's see what happens now. So let me do this. I wanted to start with a quick poll because I'm going to get a little bit of demographic information from you, but I also wanted you to just take a poll on some things that make you comfortable and uncomfortable when you're talking with members and internal customers. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have you once again take out your mobile device, cell phone, or if you don't have another one available, just get over to a new browser window so that you can take this quick poll from Mentimeter. And what you'll do is go to menti.com. This is just like you did last time, only this time you're going to use the code that's on the screen now, 7165-8257. So if you can go there, 7165-8257, and you should see this poll with the first question, what co-op do you work for? So if you'll just put that in as soon as you get there, then I'll know that you're both there. And then we can continue on. And let me know if you're having any problem getting there. Usually this service is really good. It's called Mentimeter. And just in case your leaders would like to have an idea of what this is, it's an amazing polling software, quizzing kind of thing, competitions. It's a lot of fun. I can do presentations in it. And there's a free version of it. You don't get the quizzes and competitions with the leaderboards, excuse me, in the free version, but it's not an expensive service at all. So if they're looking for anything, just remember mentimeter.com. So I see one of you is Lintigar, and I know there were 2 of you from Lintigar last time, and I can't remember now which.
Yeah, that's me and Rand.
Rand, I was going to say, I thought Monty was the one from a different one. Monty, are you having any trouble getting in, or is it just taking you a second to get your mobile device up?
I see the what co-op do you work for?
Oh, good. All right. So just go ahead. Yeah, if you can just put in there which one you work for, that would be great. Are you finding the way to get in there? Oh, there it is. All right. Oh, North Plains. That's right. Okay. Well, all right. And now how about this question? What's your position in your organization? Now just go with the category that matches you the best. You might be a member services rep, or you might be in another area that has internal customer service functions rather than customer facing functions. So are you in member services or something else? Or if it doesn't fit into any of those categories, how about other? Okay, all right. And I thought both of you were in member services. Thank you. All right. Now, how long have you been in your current position? Is it 0 to 1 year? I know some of you were about 6 months. Yeah. And then I think one of you might be 1 to 2 years. There might be some other ones. Okay, so you're both there less than a year. So, or 0 to 1 years. Great. I hope this training is proving very successful for you. It seems like it's been interesting, and I'm glad to hear that. Now, how long have you been in any position in this industry with a co-op, or you may have, or with member services at all? Wow, okay. So one of you is a little bit newer in the industry, and the other one's a vet in the industry, but just that's right, newer to member services. Great. Now, let's talk about when you're talking about your policies and procedures. One of the things that I find is that even if the policies and procedures at your co-op have been around for a while, you may not know everything about them, or they may have changed. So what's your personal comfort level? Do you know and understand all of the tasks included in your job description? And now this is a sliding scale. So you can move that slider to, I really am not comfortable, or I don't know and understand them, or to I really fully understand them. The next one would be I'm very comfortable with my knowledge. So first is knowing and understanding the tasks and duties, and then how about your knowledge of them, the ins and outs and little nuances. And I know who to ask if I'm uncertain. Okay, great. So there we go. So you're kind of toward the middle, and at least it seems like pretty confident about who to ask. And that's really important, especially if you're newer in this position, because you can't be guessing when you're talking to members, right? That's really going to cause a problem. And when I do in-person customer service programs, I have some exercises that we do that really kind of highlight where our knowledge is and where the gaps are in our knowledge, because it's so important. All right, how about this one? Briefly list which policies, procedures, or subjects or maybe offerings to your members cause you the most confusion or difficulty to explain and or perform, and why. Just a brief why. So is there any policy or procedure or a service that you really don't understand? It's a bit confusing. This is important because I'm going to be sharing this the answers to these questions with Kat, and she'll be sharing them with your leaders so that they can look at, oh, maybe we need to do a little bit more training on one or more of these services or offerings that we have. And so that would be very helpful for them to know what's causing you the most confusion. Did it change recently? Is there something that you never really understood because it's a bit confusing the way it's been explained? Is there anything like that? Workflow. Not familiar with the workflow. See, and this is really great. The person that you might want to ask about that is either your supervisor or manager, or maybe even the person that you go to with questions, because you might be fairly new, you are fairly new in this particular role, and maybe you just don't understand them and they could help you. But here's the other thing that I always say, and I hope you remember this. It's that if you're having a problem with something, you can bet that someone else is having a problem with it as well, or has a question with it. So I would bring it to my leader, if I were you, to my customer service manager, and say, hey, it was pointed out that, there are things that maybe we can talk about in either a lunch and learn, or maybe there's a new training that's coming up, but you should let them know so they can make sure it's clear. All right, so let's go on. If you think of this other one, you can come back to it, whoever didn't answer just yet. How about this one? Briefly list the policies and procedures, all those things we just talked about, that cause you the least confusion or difficulty to explain and perform, and why. And the reason I like to ask this is, hey, if they've done a really great job explaining how this policy or procedure works, you could point that out to them as well. And they can say, ooh, you know what, maybe we can follow the kind of way we've explained this. Maybe they used an example. Or maybe there's something else that they did that made that much more clear to you. So they should know the things that are causing you a little bit of confusion where they could do better, but they should also know, here's where you're doing really well. And maybe it's because the policy or procedure is easy to get to in a SharePoint area or something else like that. So if they've done something really great, they should be able to repeat that, and you can help them with that. And if you can't think of anything just this minute, that's okay. If you think of it later, this again, I always say that brainstorming isn't always about coming up with all the answers immediately. It's starting to ask the right questions. So if you're just starting to think about this in your mind and you think of something after the webinar, please go back to your leaders and say, hey, I thought of something because the webinar made me think of it and I didn't think of it then. But I've thought of something now. And here we go. I understand how to run our social media and what resources to use. Excellent. And it may be because you have prior experience doing that. Maybe you could even offer to your leaders to do a lunch and learn yourself on how to run social media and what resources are there for them to use. So that could be a nice suggestion for you to be able to share your knowledge. Okay, here's another one. Please rate the following statements regarding your comfort level with potentially difficult conversations. So again, this is a sliding scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And I'm very comfortable talking with members and colleagues who want to discuss a problem, or I'm comfortable de-escalating the situations. And how about this one? I'm very comfortable hearing and accepting suggestions from members and colleagues. Again, each of these is a sliding scale. How comfortable are you with each of these? And then the last one is, I'm very comfortable passing along suggestions to our leaders. Are they open to that? Are they willing to hear what your members have to say when they talk to you, or what you have to say when you talk about a process that could be a little bit broken or confusing? Here we go. So, and this is very normal, that you're somewhat comfortable talking with members and colleagues who want to discuss a problem, and with de-escalating, that's usually a little bit more difficult because it's tough. You've got to really rein your own emotions in, right? You can't make the situation worse by getting upset with the customer, with the member, or your internal customer. That's not going to help anything. And in fact, it could make the situation a lot worse. So very comfortable hearing and accepting suggestions yourself and bringing them to your leaders. You're at the 4 level there. I love seeing that. Okay, but work on those other things. Make sure you really, really just take a deep breath before you get on the phone, especially if it's with someone that you know you've had a little bit of difficulty in the past. Remember that tabula rasa that you read about and heard about in the training this time? Just come with a blank slate. Assume they have the best of intentions and they're just trying to get help, and you don't need to get upset with them. Just be very patient. And how about this one? Briefly describe what makes you the most uncomfortable when you're holding potentially difficult conversations. What makes you uncomfortable when those conversations happen? Is it when somebody starts yelling at you or blaming you for things, especially when they're not things that you even had anything to do with? You just happen to be the person right there. Yep, confrontation. That is a huge one. Nobody likes confrontation. And that's why a lot of the things that I was talking about in these 2 lessons that you had this time were all about maintaining your self-control, remembering that tabula rasa, and not bringing any of the other confrontations you've had with other people. Like, for example, you could have had 15 people come at you that day, and now the 16th one is really the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? So you can't say, oh my gosh, I just can't take anymore, and then blurt it all out over them. Remember, that's only their first one, not their 16th. So keep that in mind. And when they won't answer a question, I know it's maddening, isn't it? So just assume that they're either not understanding or just, let them finish. Maybe they just need to vent before they'll answer that question. So maybe they just need to vent, get it out of their system and say, okay, I understand you're very frustrated. But if you think about the question that I just asked you, and if you can answer that to the best of your ability, don't say, would you please answer my question? And, show any kind of frustration with them. Just say, If you can answer that question to the best of your ability, it will help me help you better. So I understand you're frustrated, but what's the answer to that question so I can pinpoint how we can help you best? Think about that. How can you say it that way? That, how can you answer it to the best of your ability or answer it fully? Or would you please just let me know more about what's going on rather than trying to make it a blame game where, well, you're not answering my question. How am I going to help you if you don't answer my question? And I know that's going through your head and it doesn't always come out your mouth. But when that's going through your head, it doesn't have to come out your mouth, right? It's coming out maybe in other ways. So think about that whole thing. Don't dwell on, "Ugh, they're not answering my question. How am I supposed to help them?" Dwell on, they need to vent. Let me let them, and then let me try to get to the crux of the problem. Okay, thank you for sharing those, because those are two excellent answers that are very, very common. And briefly describe what makes you the most comfortable. When you're holding a potentially difficult conversation or you're in the middle of one, what makes you the most comfortable? And how can you tap into that comfort level when you're having to have these difficult conversations? Is there anything that makes you comfortable when you're holding these conversations, or something that you feel really comfortable talking about? Maybe it's the topic. When they show understanding, yes. When they have a little bit of grace for you, right? And for the co-op, because we're always being told, show grace to them, have a little bit of grace for them, have a little bit of patience for them. And we do need to do that. But isn't it nice when we get a little bit of that coming in the other direction? Thank you for that. That's excellent. When they show understanding and when the member is honest about what they need. Yes. Sometimes they're not really telling you what they want or need, right? Or sometimes they're not even clear about what they want or need. So if they're not being honest, or it seems like they're not, maybe it's just that they're lacking a little bit of clarity, and maybe help them home in on, okay, if I hear you correctly, this is what's happening, and this is what you believe will fix the situation. Is that correct? So really just that active listening, that feeding their answers back to them, make sure you understand. And sometimes when you clarify what it is you think you understand, they sometimes see it in a different light and say, oh, wait a minute, no, that's not what I meant. And they may not be gracious and say, I might have misunderstood. They may not say that, but you can help them get to the point where they realize they have to say it a different way. Now, how they say it, if they show impatience, just have the grace that you know you need to have, because you want to help them. You don't want to make them feel worse, but try to get them very clear on what is actually going to help them and what they really need. So they might not need what they think they need. They might need something different. And you know what it is because you're the expert. Help them get to that point. All right. So that's the end of that poll. Thank you very much for participating in it. Now let's go back to the presentation. And I'm just wondering, were you able to do the worksheets about, do your customers feel safe to vent and ask questions? And what causes you to respect or disrespect other people? Did you get to those? How do you make your customers feel safe? So I'm going to stop the share for just a moment. And then if you want to open up your mic, so you want to use the chat, either way is fine with me, but you guys did a great job last time, really just kind of talking about how do you make your customers, your members, especially your external members, but I also want you to think about your internal customers, because they need things from you too. And sometimes, one department and another might have these silos going on and they don't really focus on helping each other. But how do you make your internal and external members and customers feel safe to talk to you? Any idea of what you'd like to share with anybody here or listening later on?
Yes, I did both of those worksheets, and basically the theme I got from both of those was just trying to put yourself in their shoes and trying to show understanding and being respectful, like giving them grace. And if you're kind and you try to listen to them and give understanding, then maybe they'll do the same for you.
I love that. Well, you know what? Leading by example is an excellent. I'm so happy that you said that. And wait a minute, I left something over here. I'm gonna just grab this real quick because I had to switch computers because I think I told you last time I was getting all those stupid gray boxes from Zoom. And I found that if I change to a different computer, my other computer works just fine. So it's only my brand new $2,000 computer that's giving me a problem. You get the things with all the bells and whistles, and then it can't handle all the bells and whistles. So anyway, but I have a gift for you guys this week again. And Braley, you get the first one, which is this deck of mem cards, or they're quote cards. I can't call them mem cards anymore because that company went out of business and I had to get them made somewhere else. But these are quote cards. They're 27 points from my no risk, no reward program and keynote, with quotes on the back of everyone to help you take that risk, which is really just, going forward and opening up and sharing and doing all kinds of different things, thinking about what your goals are. So Braley, first set of quote cards goes to you. There are 27 of them in here. And thank you for sharing that insight of what you came away with from the worksheets. Okay, so I'll be shipping those cards out to you. Monty, did you get a chance to do that, or have you been thinking as we've been talking here about, how do you make your people feel safe talking to you?
Well, I didn't do the worksheets, but I was thinking that sometimes you need to realize that you may not be the reason they're actually upset with what's going on. Something else in their daily ritual could have set them off, and you're just the one standing in line that caught the brunt of it.
Uh, Excellent point. Yes. And that's what I was just mentioning about, you had 15 other people before you. And so number 16, that's going on with you, but not with number 16 in line for you. And you don't want them to catch the brunt of it, just like you don't want to catch the brunt of, okay, they've just had, their house might have caught on fire or something else is going on with them. And my phone on by accident. Oh, today has been a little bit difficult. See, everybody has days where things do not go as planned every second of the day. But thank you, Monty. You're going to get a deck of quote cards as well, because that is huge. Just trying to remember, you don't know what else is going on in their lives. And don't you be one more thing, even if they're trying to take it all out on you. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. All right, now let's see. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. And let's go on. Now, these questions and discussions from the lesson, one of them was, what knowledge do I possess that I can share? Because as you heard in the lessons, sometimes we find a better way to do something than the way we were taught when we came on. And all of a sudden, we're just kind of doing it that way. But we don't think about the fact that, again, if I had, a little difficulty with it, or I could find a better way, I'll bet my bottom dollar that anyone and everyone can also find and use that better way or that better technology. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about, what knowledge do you have? Have you learned something new? And even in just your short time there, because sometimes, you know what, that's the best way to find new things, is get somebody new in there with fresh eyes to look at those processes, look at those tools, especially the one who was talking about, I know, the social media tools. There might be other tools that you know about, or other processes that are in there that possibly could have been something that everybody else could use in a different way. So I want us to share, do you have any tools or tips or tricks that you can share with your colleagues? And then also, did you think about, or can you analyze a customer service experience that didn't go quite as well as you wanted it to, and how you could make it better? So that's one thing I want you to talk about: sharing your knowledge. What tools or processes have you tweaked? And what's one thing, we're not going to do a breakout because it's just the two of us, the two of you and me here. So we'll do like last week and we'll just stay in the big group. But have you found something you could share? And what has either not gone well or has gone really well. Maybe a member shared something with you that you can share with the group and you can pass along to your leaders. So first of all, let's talk about what have you learned that maybe you've tweaked a little bit as a process in your job.
Yeah, so I work a lot with the social media and then our employee newsletter. And previously, I think everybody here used Photoshop, and I find Photoshop really hard to work with.
Me
So
too.
I found a new resource. I use Canva instead. It's so much more user friendly and just easier to work with and everything. So I've been using Canva, and yeah, so that's
I
something.
love Canva. Do you know that? I mean, I have to pay for a lot of services in my business and everything. Canva is one of the very few that I do not resent paying that annual fee for.
Exactly, I agree. It's
Oh,
well worth the money.
it is awesome, especially if you really don't, you haven't had any training in design skills or anything. You have to know a lot of design to use Photoshop. And then the tool itself is not the easiest to use. But man, you go into Canva and holy cow, the designs they come up with. We actually, for my National Speakers Association of Central Florida chapter, we knew what we wanted to do for our logo. And our president was not really getting it through PowerPoint or Photoshop. I went into Canva. I put in, heart and magic and found two different things that we could put together. And we created our whole chapter logo with that right in Canva. It was so easy. So, oh, I'm so happy you said that. Tell everybody you know about Canva. It is awesome. Thank you, Brayley.
I will, thank you.
How about you, Monty? Have you found anything that you found a little easier way to do than the way it was taught, or a tool that you knew or can bring forward to us?
Not really yet. I was kind of thinking we have some procedures written up, and I thought about doing a screenshot of a step by step. So whenever we train somebody new, they can have it in their hand to see, to flip to this one. This is what you're going to look for on this screenshot. This is what you're going to look for on that. So I'm kind of working with Cynthia to see about getting one of those put together like that to help train people whenever they do come over to member services.
That's an excellent idea, because you know what? And even if you do something, I don't remember if I put this into the training. I think I might have, but there was a woman who told me that she did a procedure only every once in a while, and it was really confusing. And so the next time she did it, she was sick and tired of reinventing the wheel and having to remind herself of, okay, what was this step? And then what came after that step? And so what she did was she opened up a PowerPoint, and as she went through it, she put one step per slide on the PowerPoint presentation so that it was right there. And then the next time she had to do that same procedure, which was a few months later, and that's why nobody could ever remember it. All she had to do was open up the PowerPoint, follow the steps, slide by slide, and boom, it took her half the time. Somebody else saw her using that and said, "Where'd you get that? I need that too." And all of a sudden, she was getting asked to train and getting bonuses and training all the other people on that because she thought of a great way to help do that. And so what you just suggested is along those lines. Excellent. It's easy to use. It's visual for visual learners. So I love that, Monty. You go. I really am excited to hear that, because that's the kind of proactive thinking that our co-ops need. We need to figure out, it's hard to get good help nowadays, and it's hard to keep it. So if we can make our current people that much more productive, that's going to be very beneficial. So congratulations to both of you. Excellent ideas. So, all right. Now I'm going to go back to the screen share and we will go on. All right. So now on worksheet 8, here's where we talked about our values and the questions to consider. What are your values? How do they tie to your co-op's values? How do you demonstrate your values every day? And so I want to chat about, not just on this slide, but on this one, talking about your values. Did you think of, or can you think of a time where you did maybe the 1, 2, 3s of doing more than a piece, where instead of when a member calls and asks you to do one thing, you do it and then just forget about it. I'm done, I did it, and that's okay. but that's the bare minimum. Is there a time when you've used your proactive thinking skills to say, oh, you know what? I could do that, but then I could also do this, which will also make it better. So again, I'm going to stop the share for a moment and ask you, have you ever used that concept where you went over and above, not just what they asked for, but then to the next step in which you said, I can do this too, and that'll even amp up the wow even more. When have you gone over and above?
So I personally haven't had this experience yet, but I know that this is kind of the framework with Linegar. When we have a power outage and a member calls in to report the power outage, I know that they explain that crews are on their way. And I also know like the what else can I do now? I know that our Linegar, they post on Facebook with all the information we can share about the power outage, so more members are able to see on social media what's going on. And then with the what else can I do later or for later, I know that our member services team and dispatchers, I know that they call the members back and
Oh,
make sure that their power has been restored and then ask if they need anything else.
that is the perfect example of what I was talking about, because you're serving them at that time and explaining, then you're posting on social media. That is the what else can I do? And then the what else can I do for later or for later? Oh, wow. I love hearing that your teams call the members later on to make sure that their power is back on, rather than assuming it came back on, because you don't know. There could be a situation where it didn't come back on. And then those people don't know. They're in the dark, literally and figuratively, without power. And so I really love hearing that that's your co-op's policy. Thank you for sharing that, Braley. And I'm sure that when you have the opportunity to do that, if you ever hear of even anything else you can do, I am sure you'll be thinking of that. What else can I do for this person to make them feel a little better? So great example. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Monty, have you got anything that you've thought of while we were talking?
Oh, recently when we had our big fire down here, we told the members whenever you want to disconnect your service, we'll disconnect it, but we've had a different status to where if whenever they want it, you call us back whenever you wanted it heated back up, and we're going to suspend your monthly minimum till then as well. And then if something else needed to be upgraded, we went ahead and we're doing that at no charge to them.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, they're going through enough as it is, right? So for you to be able to do that in your co-op to do that really shows how much they care about their members. And this is the kind of thing that anything that you can think of that they're not doing, like say somebody said, oh, this really would have helped if I could have done this. And you think, wow, you know what? That's a great idea. Go ahead and share that with your co-op leaders, because the more things they can do, like what both of you are talking about in your respective co-ops, the more your members are going to be able to appreciate you, and your credibility, your reputation in the community are going to rise just because they know how much you care. And then when things do go wrong, because hey, everybody's human and things aren't always perfect, you're going to get a lot more grace from them because you've shown how much you care about them. So excellent examples. Thank you so much for that. All right. Let's continue on. And I know that anybody who's going to be watching this later on is going to be getting some great ideas on, oh, if our co-op doesn't do that, maybe we should start doing it. All right. Now, before we go into the competition, I'm going to just stop the share for a moment and ask you both, do you have any questions? Was there anything I can explain better? Or is there something that you would like to share that I haven't asked about that you think would be important for people to know about your co-op, your customer service, your member service, about the training here? Anything that you'd like to ask me or share with me and with whoever might be watching this later?
I really enjoy your classes and the live webinars. I've learned a bunch of stuff, and you make it interesting, and it's keeps you interested and keeps you going while you're going through the class. And I just want to tell you thank you.
Oh my gosh. And thank you. Wow. You make my day when you let me know that, because I worked really hard to try to make it that way. And it's nice to know it's hitting the mark. So thank you so much for sharing that, Monty. I can't tell you how much that means to me. So, and I'm sure it'll mean a lot to your leaders too.
Something that I really needed to hear was speak and behave with confidence. When you had that section of the lesson, how customers listen to employees with confidence. So instead of saying, I'm sorry, when you're not really sorry for something, you say, excuse me instead. I really appreciate that. And I needed to hear it. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad that hit the mark. Thank you for sharing that, Braylee. It's so funny because that point does get a lot of great feedback. I do a lot of training for other groups outside of customer service as well. And when we're talking about doing things with confidence, I have that in there a lot. And that's especially true with women. We tend to go there a lot. And so I'm really happy to hear that hit a chord with you, because that is something that seems to be a very good point to cover. And I'm really glad I included it in here. So thank you both. You've just made my day. All right, now I'm going to do a screen share, and I want you to get your mobile device again, because now it's time for the quiz/competition. And we've got the leaderboard here. Now we've got both of you who are going to be taking part in this quiz. So get your mobile devices out, and I'm going to switch over to the competition slide. And this time you're going to go to menti.com again, but this code is different. So put in the code you see at the top of the screen. It's 4239351. That's 4239351. And as soon as I see that you're both in there, okay, we've got one player who is ready. Oh, somebody rowing a boat. I couldn't see what that was on the screen. Oh, and here we go. And somebody flying a plane. All right. So we've got both of you ready. So remember, in this competition, again, speed will count, but you got to be accurate as well. So make sure you answer fast to get more points. But wild place rule number 1 is that a wild place is safe, secure, strict, or silly. Okay, everyone has voted, and so woohoo, you both said safe. Now let's figure out who came in first, because you did it the quickest. Is it going to stay there? Sometimes it tricks you. Oh, okay, Braylee is first right now, but you're both correct. So congratulations for both of you getting the answer right. Now let's go on to question number 2. And remember, okay, we've got everybody ready, and we want you to answer fast so that you'll get more points. And the question is, what's the number 1 sign of subtle disrespect? Is it lack of eye contact, rolling your eyes? Wow, you both are really, really quick. Okay, and not being fully present. Now, rolling your eyes, just to give whoever said that credit, is a sign of subtle disrespect, and actually not so subtle, but it's not the number 1 one. So not being fully present is the answer for the number 1 one. And okay, that was Braylee. So Braylee is still in the lead right now. Let's continue along and go to question number 3. You're both ready. Remember, answer as quickly as possible to get more points. And the question is, wild place rule number 2 is that a wild place is radical, respectful, raring to go, or ridiculous. Okay, everyone has voted, and you both got that one right. Thank you. It is respectful. I'm so glad you didn't say ridiculous. All right, now let's see who did it the quickest this time. Oh, this time it looks like by 3 points only. All right, Braylee's still in the lead. Monty catching up. Okay, let's go to the next one. Both of you are ready. Remember to answer quickly so you get more points. And the question is, successful negotiation steps include exploring both parties' positions, uncovering what each are prepared to give, determining how much is at stake, or all of the above. All right, everyone has voted. Let's see how you did this time. And excellent. Both of you got all of the above. Now let's find out where we stand in the standings. And Braley still in the lead so far. All right, let's continue on. Go to question 5 of 7. My camera thing is in the way. All right, so remember, answer fast to get more points. And the question is, wow place rule number 3 states that a wow place is what? Humane, not hurtful. Human, not humanoid. Honest, not dishonest. Oh, and you both have voted. Let's see. Oh, sorry, you both got it. There you go. I hit the little button and it was coming up on its own. And so let's see how we fared this time. Rayleigh and Monty, neck and neck right there. Okay, Rayleigh still quick with those fingers. All right, now let's go to question number 6. Both of you are ready. Answer fast, remember. And the question this time is, which of the following are types of communication behaviors? Passive aggressive, painstaking, respectful, or dishonest? All right, everyone has voted. And you both got it right. Passive aggressive. Oh, those passive aggressive people can really be the death of you sometimes, can't they? They'll act nice to your face and then behind your back, watch out. So now let's look and see how everybody fared this time. Okay, and Rayleigh with 5409, Monty with 4025. Okay, we have one more chance. Let's look at the last question. And the question this time is, actions that display confidence include having a wimpy handshake, greeting others and initiating conversations, being argumentative. Oh, okay. And you know it isn't brown nosing everyone. All right, let's continue and see how this leaderboard shakes out. And Braley is the winner. Oh my gosh, Braley. Okay, so this time, Braley, I'm going to give you another $20 Amazon gift card. And if you're okay with it, just remind me of the email or cell that I sent it to last time. But Monty, for being such a great player and for being here and participating so well, I'm going to give you a $10 gift card from Amazon. So maybe you can get a little something with that, and we will go from there. Okay, does that sound good?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. I really love the fact that you guys are participating so well. And I really appreciate your kind words about the training and what you're learning and the specific examples of the things that are helping you as well. So let me do one last screen share. And again, I can give you back about 15 minutes of your day since we only have a couple of us on here. And I don't need to keep you any longer than we need to, but I enjoy our time together, and I hope that, again, it's been helpful and enjoyable for you. Now, both of you just email me, sandy@thewowplace.com. I'm putting it in the, oops, I'm putting it in the chat just so that you can both see it, even though I'm sure you have it on all your other things. And you've got the emails and stuff for me, but sandy@thewowplace.com. Just shoot me a quick email to let me know which email address or mobile number you would like me to send your gift cards to. And I will make sure that I send them there and make sure I have the exact right ones for this time as well. All right, so one more screen share. And let me flip back over to the PowerPoint. Okay, so what we Like to just do again, are there any questions on anything we just covered in the competition? Anything else that you've thought of since we talked a couple of minutes ago? Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, well then I'm going to say you got 15 minutes back in your day. Thank you again so much for attending the classes, for taking all of the modules, for attending the live webinar. Without you, I'd be here talking to myself. So thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on completing the second third of the course. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you and remind you, next time, let me just go back one more. Next time, instead of on a Monday, I am going to be traveling on that Monday. So instead of Monday, October 7th for our final webinar, please mark your calendars for Tuesday, October 8th. It's still going to be at 10 o'clock, but it's not going to be on Monday the 7th. It will be on Tuesday the 8th, and you'll get another reminder on that. Okay, so please let everybody else know that's when you're going to be attending the third and final webinar. And again, thank you and congratulations. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.